These are some of the largest superorganisms on Earth, but also some of the least studied. They burn your skin and turn to goo if you try to grab them. It's a disappearing act that tells us something amazing about these deep-sea alien-looking creatures. They're not a single animal, but a chain of clones working together. How does that work? And what questions does it ask about what it even means to be an individual? This is the fascinating world of Siphonores. Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Animalogic. Today, we're taking a deep look at one of the weirdest superorganisms on Earth, the Siphonores. From afar, some species look like gigantic, segmented deepwater jellyworms. From up close, they're a series of conjoined clones, all working together, but many with different jobs. Sounds confusing? It is. So let's start from the beginning. They're cnidarians, distantly related to jellyfish, which is why they have such a ghostly complexion. This massive sea monster lookalike is Apolemia uvaria, sometimes incorrectly called the stringed jellyfish, or more accurately, the long, stringy, stingy thingy. It's the largest siphonophore ever recorded at over 40 meters, or about 150 feet. It's longer than a blue whale, and if it was an animal, it would be the longest animal on Earth. But it isn't. This is a group of clones attached to each other. Individually, they look like this. They're called zooids, and they're about the size of a grain of rice. That means that a single siphonophore can have tens of thousands of individuals joined together to make a biological mecha predator. The most amazing thing about them is that they start as a single individual, and the way that they grow blurs the line between individual and organism. Like you, me, and most other animals, siphonophores start as a fertilized egg that grows into a mature body. This is called the founding member of the colony. As it gets bigger, a stem grows. This is the infrastructure that will connect all of the clones. The stem has specific spots called growth areas. Here, clones of the founding members start to grow, but they no longer look like the original zooids. They will grow in different shapes depending on their job. Some will be meant for swimming, some for catching prey and digesting it, some for sexual reproduction, and some for floating. You put together enough of these zooids and you get yourself a ginormous colony. You might be wondering, if they're attached to each other and they have the same DNA, why are they considered individual animals? Each of them has its own nervous, vascular, and digestive systems. If you separate them from each other, they'll survive for a bit, but not for long. It's an amazing feat of organization. The different types of zooids appear always in the same order, making it a truly harmonious structure. Older zooids will be at the back and younger ones at the front. They swim, hunt, and reproduce together without a brain to coordinate their actions. Each zooid has a specific function and it worries basically only about itself, but sharing nutrients and energy through the stem. This modular system allows them to create amazing superorganisms, like the Apolemia we saw earlier. This was filmed in Western Australia by an underwater drone called Sebastian. It was filmed at 630 meters deep, and it was organized in an eerie spiral, giving me some Junji Ito vibes. Some smaller members of these species have been observed at depths of up to 1,000 meters, and there's likely more species yet to be discovered at the depths of the ocean. The tentacles can be over 5 meters long, about the same length as a car, even though they look tiny in this video. Each of them is armed with microscopic needles full of venom. If prey touches it, it gets paralyzed and eaten. Yep, touching long, stringy, stingy thingies hurts a whole lot, but we'll get into the siphonophores you should worry about in a little bit. For now, let's keep looking at some of the most amazing species in the world, like Forxalia edwardsii. It doesn't have a common name, but can I suggest the boa scarf siphonophore? This beautiful species is usually around 1 to 3 meters long, but this particular superorganism was almost 5 meters long. At the front, you can see a little balloon, followed by a series of inflatable chambers that suck in and expel water to give it jet propulsion. The rest of the body is full of feeding and reproductive zooids. This siphonophore is so huge that you can even get close and see all the small animals get caught in their feeding zooids in real time. It looks beautiful and harmonious. But for these little invertebrates, this is not a scarf, but a noose. The feeding zooids will dissolve them, absorb them, and send the nutrients to the other zooids throughout the stem. And how about a siphonophore with a stem so short, but with such a high density of zooids that it basically looks like a jellyfish pom-pom? This is a deep-sea dandelion, a strange siphonophore that feels more at home sticking to the bottom of the ocean rather than swimming around like most of its cousins. This one was seen at a depth of 2,500 meters, or about 5 CN towers deep. These mysterious balls of zooids are very difficult to study, so we're not exactly sure what the little balls it seems to be shooting out are. Regardless of what they are, it's amazing to see a creature living peacefully in an environment that would be absolutely unsurvivable to us. These are just some of the hundreds of siphonophore species. There's a huge diversity both in looks and behaviors, as they have adapted to life at different depths, temperatures, and hunting different prey. Some of the coolest research we're seeing right now is how they evolve to catch different types of prey. As you can imagine, by the sheer amount of species, sizes, habitats, and shapes siphonophores have, they eat different kinds of prey and have adapted their hunting tools to be as deadly as possible to their main prey. These tools are on the sides of the feeding tentacles. They're called tentillas and are basically bags full of venomous needles. When an animal gets stuck in the sticky tentacles of the siphonophore, the tentacle moves it towards the tentilla, where it's injected with venom. Of course, it's hard for them to be selective about what gets digested, so they often eat their own tentacles along with their prey. It's like if you were eating an ice cream, but the ice cream was glued to your hand, so you had to eat your hand too. It works for them because they have thousands of tentacles, but don't try that at home. Fish-eating siphonophores have thick tentacles and long nematocysts to subdue muscular prey. Those who eat crustaceans, like shrimp, have long tentacles that wrap around their prey to inject in the soft tissue at their joints. Siphonophores who eat tiny crustaceans have super sticky tentacles to catch fast-moving prey. And those that eat a little bit of everything have a combination of these features. So what is the siphonophore most likely to sting us? That is, of course, one that likes the same food as we do and lives close to us. It's also one of the prettiest creatures at the beach, the Portuguese manowar. They might look like glass sculptures with giant satin frills, something that would make a very pretty chandelier. In some cases, these frills, which are really their feeding tentacles, can be 30 meters long, about as long as a blue whale. But all that long beauty is just living toxic fishing net. Portuguese manowar are specialized in small fish, and their tentilla are designed to pierce flesh. Sometimes they float around together in groups of thousands of siphonophores, and wherever there's warm water and large schools of fish, you can be sure there's manowar. As of the release of this episode, there are warnings in the UK and India because of the high number of these cute venomous creatures. It's a big enough concern that they're being called floating terrors in the news. A fleet of manowar can take out an entire school of fish. And if you happen to swim among their thousands of tentacles, you will be in immediate pain, possibly have a severe allergic reaction, and in some cases, even cardiac arrest. So please, stay away from these cute little bags of poison. Even when they're dead, they can still sting you. But if you do get stung, the best way to deal with it is hot water. No need for vinegar or urine, like it's sometimes advised by locals. They're just going to make you stinky, but that won't help you dull the pain. The hot water breaks down some of the toxins and deactivates any venom needles that haven't deposited their venom. There's so much to learn about these fantastic creatures. So we asked possibly the #1 expert on siphonophores to tell us how we're learning so much about them, and the problems with trying to study a gooey deep-water invertebrate.
My name is Casey Dunn. I'm a professor in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at Yale University. And I'm also the curator of invertebrate zoology at the Yale Peabody Museum. So when most people think of the ocean, they think of the coast and the waves. And there's siphonophores out there, but they get all chewed up and torn up in the waves, and then you don't see them, except maybe the Portuguese man of war, which is really amazing. It does wash up on beaches. Most siphonophores don't. So what this means is that you have to get out into the open ocean and then collect them. And there's a few ways to collect them. Even nets tend to damage them. So my favorite way to collect siphonophores is to go way offshore, 100 or more miles or something in a boat, and then jump over the side of the boat and then snorkel or scuba dive. Even though the ocean's very deep, we're not going to the bottom. We're just swimming around in that top layer of water with a bag of jars. And you just can develop techniques to get the animals to swim into the jars. And then you bring the siphonophores onto the boat. And then we have to get them back to the lab.
If you're not careful, they'll break apart, and your research is done. This fragility, combined with venom, is one of the reasons that they have fascinated us for years. You might have even interacted with them without even knowing you were in the presence of an underwater alien.
For, more than 100 years, we've been learning so much about the ocean by going out on these research ships, throwing nets over the side, pulling the nets through the water, and then bringing those nets back up to see what animals and plants and things that algae are in them. And this has been so important. It's told us, so much about fish and crustaceans and things that are out there. But if you're on a ship and they bring up this net, the first thing that is done with that net when it lands on the deck of the ship is they get a hose and they spray off the net because it's slimy, right? Because it's been down deep. That slime is the siphonophores and the other animals. They're so fragile, they just kind of turn to goo.
And the research is ongoing. As new technologies are developed, we're not only getting more answers about siphonophores, but also more questions are being raised every day.
One thing I love working about siphonophores is we get to ask these really exciting questions with the latest tools, like what cells are present and how are those cells interacting and how does the genome coordinate that? And we get to do that work, which uses, tools that didn't even exist 5 or 10 years ago sometimes. At the same time, when we're out there watching the animals and then collecting them and looking at them, we're doing exactly what people did 250 years ago, which is just observing biological diversity. And I love that I get to do all of those things, right? It's not that because we can sequence genomes, we don't need like microscopes or to just sit with a notebook and take notes on what the animal is doing. We actually need to do all of those things. Like it's not that new technology made old methods obsolete. It's that new technology adds additional questions that we can ask in addition to the old questions that really, might involve just sitting and watching, quietly with the animal and being surprised. And sometimes that's when you see the most amazing things because you didn't even expect it.
That is absolutely fascinating. And as Dr. Dunn said, there's still plenty left to be discovered. All we need is some underwater drones, lots of care, and a keen eye. And lots of protective gear. While it may be called cookie cutter, this creature is anything but the norm, breaking the mold of its fellow family members wherever it swims. And though it's got cookie in its name, it's hardly sweet, and has been known to take an ice cream scoop-sized chunk out of anything that crosses its path, be it an orca or a nuclear submarine. Today, we're talking about the world's weirdest shark and one and only parasite of its kind, the Cookiecutter Shark. Today, we're diving deep undersea to learn more about the world's only parasitic shark. This is a shark that uses an eerie glow to lure in would-be predators, only to turn the tables and turn them instantly into prey. The Cookiecutter shark, sometimes called the cigar shark thanks to its shape, is known scientifically as Cystius brasiliensis. This small shark has a wide range, circling warm ocean waters around the globe. This species loves to travel, but not in the direction you might expect. It migrates kilometers daily, vertically. The Cookiecutter shark swims up closer to the surface at dusk and back down to the depths as the first light hits the horizon. This parasitic shark avoids the light just like a vampire. And it certainly has the look of a classic movie monster. Bulging green eyes, a stubby nose that only a Lovecraftian monster could have, eerily glowing belly, suction-powered lips, and, of course, sharp, triangular teeth that look like a set of monsters' dentures. There are reasons for this aesthetic, but let's be nice to the shark and call it unique. The large, oval-shaped eyes are adapted to its preferred low-light environment. The bigger the eyes, the more light they receive, and the better they can see in the darkest depths and at night. Their eye position towards the front of the head also gives them limited binocular vision for increased depth perception. Their noses are flat and stubby in service of their unique style of feeding. Now that we've explained why they have those freaky features, we can finally address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, address the horror show in the mouth? Yes, I'm talking about those creature feature jaws. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more unique mouth among sharks. And it all starts on the outside with those rubbery, vacuum-inspiring lips. I can't help but think of a sea lamprey when I take a look at the fang-encircled mouth of the Cookiecutter shark. It has an equally freaky face hole ringed with teeth that make it look straight out of Dune. You can learn all about that invasive parasitic fish here. The round shape of the Cookiecutter's mouth is important because of how the shark feeds. Once it finds its target, the Cookiecutter uses its strong mouth and throat muscles to glom on to its prey. It then uses its large, highly mobile tongue to create an upward suction, which pulls a plug of flesh into its gaping mouth. The small upper teeth hold the flesh in place, like a fork in a piece of steak. And now, here comes the knives to slice through that unwilling cut of meat. Those perfectly rendered, almost cartoonish lower teeth act like a guillotine to slice into the plug of flesh. A few quick twirls of its body help the Cookiecutter shark to detach the flesh plug from its victim, and it's off and away as fast as it came. The prey will barely know what hit them. If you're going to work this fast, you need the sharpest tools in the sea. Like other sharks, the Cookiecutter is in a constant state of tooth replacement. But of course, since we're talking about a shark that does things completely differently despite its Cookiecutter name, obviously, the way they replace their teeth is also completely unique. Unlike other sharks, which replace teeth individually, the whole row of the Cookiecutter's lower teeth is shed at once and replaced with a brand new band of teeth. This ensures that they are always razor sharp and ready for their next meal. And what becomes of the predator turned prey that the cookie cutter has taken a hunk out of? For the most part, they won't have any lasting damage, but they will be forever branded a victim of a cookie cutter shark with their distinctive scars. The perfectly circular bite looks like it was stamped with a round cookie cutter. Some also describe the wound as looking like they were taken out with an ice cream scoop, since the bites are often deeper than they are wide. This not-so-sweet reason is why these sharks are called cookie cutter in the first place. Their victims escape death mostly because the cookie cutter shark fights way above its weight class. While it may only be 1/2 meter long, it can really take a bite out of the largest fish and mammals in the ocean. I'm talking marlin, tuna, stingray, seals, whales, dolphins, and even other sharks, including the great white, which is 10 times its size. But even man-made creations aren't safe from the circular bite of the cookie cutter shark. They have been known to attack the soft, exposed parts of vessels, like the sonar domes and cables of nuclear submarines. There are even a few reports of cookie cutter sharks completely disabling the sonar of these subs, forcing them to return to base for repairs. Because of these tiny attackers, the sonar domes of nuclear submarines are now usually outfitted with a fiberglass cover to protect them from these underwater opportunists. Cookie cutter sharks are what is known as an ectoparasite, one that is on the outside of the host's body, as opposed to living within. Other examples of ectoparasites are creatures like ticks, lice, fleas, and mites. These rely on their tiny size to evade detection and keep living on the host. The cookie cutter shark has a more smash and grab style of parasitism. Let's learn exactly how the cookie cutter gets that prized mouthful of meat. Almost the entire underside of the cookie cutter shark is covered with bioluminescent, light-producing organs called photophores. These photophores emit a blue light. It is with this bioluminescence that the cookie cutter shark performs nature's greatest host-prey bait-and-switch. You see, their prey are actually the predators that are looking for a quick meal. The dark band around the cookie cutter shark's neck, sometimes called the dog collar, is the only part that doesn't light up. This is the part that is used as the lure. While bioluminescence is used on or near the surface to attract attention, in the deep sea, it's used as camouflage. Predators, like large sharks, large bony fish, dolphins, and whales, will look up towards the surface and look for the silhouettes of fish that are backlit against the light. But those that glow on their underbellies blend in with the light and are therefore invisible to would-be predators in a process called counter-illumination. Now, that little band of non-illuminating skin around the cookie cutter shark's neck looks an awful lot like the silhouette of a small fish to a predator looking up. It's this trickery that lures the predator close. But before they even have time to open their mouths, the cookie cutter strikes first, latching on to the predator, quickly turning it into prey. It's a risky move, but it sure pays off. How this bioluminescence works is a question researchers are still trying to unravel. We still don't fully understand the luminous compounds behind their glow, since there is still so much we don't know about these elusive sharks. The scars that these sharks leave behind are deep and almost permanent. For the animal, this isn't great, but for researchers, these marks can be extremely useful. These cookie cuts are so distinctive that they have actually helped researchers identify whales. A group of orcas spotted off the coast of California and Oregon were able to be identified by researchers because almost every individual in the family bore the scars of the cookie cutter shark. The marks show that this pod of orcas spent a lot of their time in open water where cookie cutter sharks hunt, revealing yet more information about that orca population. Researchers can also use these scars to help estimate the age of whales. The scars of cookie cutter bites give researchers hints, for example, about the age of Blainville's beaked whales. In this type of whale, at the very least, the scars are visible for over 20 years. Studying the scars give them hints into estimating the age of these little understood whales. In general, deep-water oceanic predators are difficult to study, simply because they're hard to access and view in their natural habitats. In the case of the cookie-cutter shark, being a nocturnal surface feeder certainly complicates the issue of observation. What we don't yet know, for example, is how often cookie cutters need to feed. But based on a study by researchers at the University of Delaware, we now think that besides taking chunks off large animals near the surface, they also eat small midwater and deep-water creatures, especially during the day. Okay, so knowing that the cookie cutter shark will take samples from basically anything that moves, you may be wondering, are humans ever on the receiving end of this cookie cutter? While these incidents rarely happen, 2019 was dubbed the year of the cookie cutter, when 3 people were bitten in Hawaii's Kaiwi Channel. We asked the #1 expert on cookie cutter shark bites on humans to tell us what happened.
So I'm Stephen Manalia. I'm a physician and professor at the John A. Burns School of Medicine, University of Hawaii in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm also the honorary secretary of the Hawaiian Channel Swimming Association. Back in 2019, in the space of about 4 months, there were 3 attacks on swimmers swimming from Molokai to Oahu in the dark of the night. Prior to that, there had only been 1 other recorded bite between Big Island and Oahu. So at first I had noticed 3 out of the 4 bites that occurred without the moon. And then there were 2 more, and they both were also without the moon. So when I had a total of 6 bites, with 5, the moon was absent from the sky, I thought there might be something there. So I started analyzing with that data.
So what makes us look delicious to cookie cutter sharks? And what can we do to not end up with a cookie-shaped hole in our bellies?
It has to do with the human behavior interacting with the species as well. So typically, channel swimmers will adorn glow sticks or lighted devices, strobe lights on them, which naturally will illuminate them in the water and perhaps allow the cookie cutter to localize on them. The other thing is crews might shine a light, a flashlight on them when they want to signal a feed. I almost went over right there. So the crews might shine a flashlight, which was in the case of Mike Spaulding's 2009 bite. He was a few hours into his swim, a few hours past nautical twilight, and basically was bitten by the shark roughly when the boat turned on its running lights to signal a feed.
What happened to the people who got bitten? Are they okay?
In these cases, they were fairly minor injuries. They were never reaching a point that they were life-threatening. They tend to be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in diameter, can also go that deep into the soft tissue, provided the victim is attended to quickly with compression mechanisms to stop bleeding and brought to emergency services.
Thanks, Dr. Minalia. I'll be sure not to do long-distance swimming on moonless nights. So unless you have big plans to swim in open water at night, you probably don't have to worry about this. And sorry to anyone watching that just got their latest irrational fear. Cookie cutter sharks belong to one of the 8 orders of deep-water sharks, known as Squaliformes, also called dogfish. As a side note, now it makes sense that these dogfish cookie cutters have dog collars around their necks. Like most other dogfish, the cookie cutter doesn't have a swim bladder, and instead has a huge oily liver that takes up a vast amount of real estate in their slender bodies. Up to 35% of the liver is oil, and being less dense than water, it's this fatty liver that keep them afloat. This is a great way to save energy. since constantly swimming to prevent sinking costs an enormous amount of energy. But there is still so much about these sharks that we still have to learn. For example, we have never found a juvenile. What life looks like for a young cookie-cutter shark is just one of the million burning questions we have about these fishes. With the dedicated research of a few passionate scientists all over the world, we are slowly gaining more knowledge about these fascinating sharks and their behavior. Squids are the largest invertebrates in the world. There are hundreds of millions of them in the ocean, and yet we almost never see them. But why? What evolutionary tools do they have that make them so successful? And how have they managed to avoid us for thousands of years? These are the enigmatic giant squids. The kraken, the sea monk, the great sea serpent, and the great calamari are some of the names given to these enormous ocean creatures. We've been talking about these creatures for as long as sailors have been exploring the oceans, and yet for the vast majority of human existence, nobody had ever seen one alive. Because we didn't know any better, we assumed them to be monsters, and gave them fantastical names like the Scylla in Greek mythology, the Lusca of the Caribbean, and of course, the Kraken of Norse mythology. Before modern times, all we had was mariners' tales and dead specimens found in the stomachs of whales or washed ashore on the beach. Most of the giant decapods found in Europe were likely Architeuthis dux, which is simply known as the giant squid. But there are two other enormous species that we should mention whenever we talk about the largest invertebrates in the world: the colossal squid and the big fin squid. But let's focus on the one that's fascinated seamen and beachgoers all over the world for millennia: the giant squid. Giant squids are absolutely massive. If you include the length of their tentacles, they can be up to 12 meters long and weigh over 250 kilograms. Their eyes, along with those of the colossal squid, are the largest in the animal kingdom at just under 30 centimeters in diameter. For context, a swordfish, which weighs the same as the giant squid and lives in similar habitats, has eyes about 10 centimeters wide in diameter, and human eyes are 2.4 centimeters wide on average. That is just way too much squid. A large female can be twice as long as a great white shark, and likely larger than a megalodon ever got. They're also full-time carnivores, so there's no need to look for monsters in mythology books. Giants still roam the earth and the sea, and they roam a huge part of the world, having been found in temperate waters from Russia to Tasmania. They seem to not love the tropical seas, but they have been spotted in vacation hotspots like Florida and Hawaii. Wherever they go, they're always looking for their next meal. Giant squid catch their meals with two enormous tentacles, which can be up to 7 meters long, easily big enough to wrap them around ancient medieval fishing boats, which is where the legends probably come from. The tentacles are lined with dozens of hard, serrated suction cups, controlled by muscles beneath them. These suckers dig into the prey's flesh and apply suction forces of up to 100 pounds per square inch. So in theory, they only need a couple of suckers to lift you. That's more than enough force to secure and hold their prey in place, while the squid rips it apart with its giant parrot-like beak. Their beak is bigger than your fist, and is only the first step of their meat processing operation. Inside their mouth, they have rasps that work as flesh graters. Once a living being goes in there, the V-shaped stream of light across the closing beak is the last thing it sees. These hunting tools also work as their only self-defense against their main predators, whales. But how do noodly appendages and an oversized parrot beak translate to battle with some of the largest animals to ever live? Well, not great. Even more than the beaches where they sometimes wash ashore, the stomach of a sperm whale is the most likely place you'll ever find a giant squid. These whales often have scars from the giant squid suckers. Their skin bears the marks of countless battles with these massive cephalopods. But size is usually the deciding factor, and whales are the ocean's heavyweight champions. Sperm whales are so whale adapted to eating giant squids that their intestines produce a wax called ambergris to wrap squid beaks and protect their organs as these biological shears go through their digestive system. These waxy substances have a pungent, salty smell. They smell like they came out of a whale's butt. And yet, they're used in the perfume industry, and large blocks of it can go for over $1 million. And of course, because of this, there are professional ambergris hunters, in case you're thinking of a career change. So many giant squids are found inside sperm whale bellies. Scientists estimate that these marine mammals eat up to 100 million of them a year. These remains have provided scientists with most of the information we know about giant squids. The rest come from the beached squids, but these animals rot very quickly, and by the time they land on a beach, they've likely already been dead for a few days. So weirdly, the partially digested remains inside whales' stomachs are often more complete. There's also the live squids that people have been reporting for centuries. Giant squids maintain buoyancy through ammonium chloride in their system, and when they die, they float up to the surface, unlike most cephalopods. And this chemical also makes them taste like salty licorice, which is pretty gnarly. Sometimes, giant squids float up before they die, usually when they're very old, sick, or injured. And often, in this disoriented state, is when they reach their tentacles into boats. It's a very small window before it dies and rots, but it tracks with how giant squids live their life. They reach sexual maturity at just about 3 years of age, and have a life expectancy of just 5 years. That's it! They get that big in just 5 years. For comparison's sake, great white sharks become sexually mature at 20 years of age and live as long as an average human being. On top of that, females have been found with over 1 million eggs yet to be released. So they reproduce young and at a massive scale. This short generation length helps them adapt quickly to environmental changes and replenish populations year after year. And yet, despite their huge numbers, we almost never see them. This started changing at the start of the century. In 2002, the first picture of a confirmed live giant squid was taken in Japan. The cephalopod had gotten stranded on a shallow bay. The locals tried to secure it, but it died the next day. 2 years later, a baited camera caught a glimpse of a giant squid using its tentacles to grasp the bait ball. Since then, improvements in camera technology and an increased accessibility to submarines has led to videos like these. This was taken by NOAA in 2019. From a wall of darkness, you see a bouquet of arms approaching the camera. The squid examines it with its tentacles, and after realizing there's not much food to be had, it disappears into the bottom of the ocean. Videos keep popping up every once in a while, showing us the power and majesty of giant squids. But, mighty as they are, they only play second fiddle to the colossal squid. Colossal squids can be up to 700 kilograms, over twice as big as a giant squid. Even though their tentacles aren't as long as the giant squids, their eyes are slightly larger. In theory, they should be as famous as their cousins, but 2 reasons work against their popularity. They only live around Antarctica, and they seem to live at even deeper levels than the giant squid. Lastly, we have the big fin squid. In a family of alien-looking creatures, these are the weirdos of the bunch, and I know that's saying a lot. They're slightly smaller than the other 2 leviathans we mentioned earlier, but still get to lengths of up to 8 meters. They're so ghostly and ethereal that they only weigh 2 kilograms. Their arms seem to bend at elbows into noodle-like appendages that drift behind the animal. They've only been seen a couple of times, but one of them gave us one of the greatest squid observations of all time. In 2019, NOAA filmed one alive. It was about 3.5 meters long, and it was 750 meters deep. You can see its long arms, see-through mantle, and giant eyes. And despite its size, it looked so fragile and tender.
Oh gosh. Look how cool.
No, it's just so...
It's a big fin squid,
it's
maybe?
ghostly.
Magnapina?
Magna Pinna.
Oh man, look at him.
And there you have it, the fantastic world of giant squids. And the coolest thing is that we keep learning more and more about them. Next time we make a video about these gigantic creatures, there will be a whole new batch of discoveries about them. Swimming into an anglerfish is like winning the nature-watching lottery. So few of them have ever been seen alive. And they're so bizarre that whenever we get news of a sighting, it becomes an international event. So let's talk with the diver who got some of the most amazing nature footage in years in an Animalogic exclusive interview. This is the anglerfish. Anglerfish are some of the weirdest fish in the ocean. It's almost impossible to see them alive, and most of their behavior is still a mystery. And yet, they're famous worldwide because of their terrifying appearance. So what's it like to see an anglerfish in person? And what's the worst that can happen? So let's go straight to the source. Earlier this year, a researcher and photographer became a global sensation after his footage of a 6-centimeter-long humpback anglerfish went viral. Our producer, Andreas, sat down to chat with him about his amazing footage and experience.
I'm David Jara. I work as a doctor here in Barcelona, but I also work as a photographer, and also I do special trips in the open sea to find and photograph and also research about sharks, rays, and cetaceans here in the Barcelona coast.
What were you doing when you saw the anglerfish?
I was in Tenerife Island, in the Canary Islands, with some friends from there. We were doing a research trip with a boat to find blue sharks, but we were all the day trying to find them, and we had no luck. So we were coming back from the ocean to the land when my friend Laia, a marine biologist that was with me in that boat, found that black shadow in the surface, and we suddenly stopped the boat and we realized what we had. So we got mad at that moment because this animal is crazy, you know. For us, it's really beautiful and really amazing to find it and also to find it alive. So we went into the water. We tried to make that pictures that everybody has seen these days. For me, it was like a legendary animal, you know. So for me, as a photographer, as a marine life lover, I was amazed about this encounter. And I actually, the water was so cold, but I went into the water just with my underwear, no wetsuit, nothing. Just I went to the water fast as I can to be able to see this animal alive, to take that picture. So that for me was amazing. Also for my all of my friends that were there. So that's what I can say. It was really amazing moment for me. I will remember this all my life, I think.
Of course, the fact that a deep-water fish was so close to the surface is a clear sign that the fish wasn't doing well. We don't know for sure, but most researchers believe it was sick or injured.
Yeah, the fish was pretty bad. I mean, in a pretty bad condition. The fish was swimming like this in a bizarre way, going towards the surface and going up and down. She had like the skin a little bit broken in some parts. So the fish was maybe sick. We don't know if it was already sick from the deep and then went out, or if the simple thing of being in the surface was the thing that made it in that condition. But the fish was already not good, and eventually she died actually while we were filming it.
What happened to the fish after?
As this fish is very interesting, we collected and we brought it to the Tenerife Museum to be preserved and to be studied. Actually, the museum decided not to open the fish to do the necropsy, but just to preserve it, to show to the people of Tenerife Island, or to anybody that comes to the museum, that amazing fish, and some information about it. And maybe in the future they can do some genetic research.
In a way, it's a happy ending for the fish. It didn't have a chance to survive, but now it's forever an example of the beauty and biodiversity of its ecosystem. Thank you, David, for sharing your amazing experience with us. The Black Sea Monster. Their nickname, not a judgment based on their appearance, was also very small, at just about 6 centimeters long. Full-grown adults can be over twice as long as this individual. There is something unique about these fish that gets our survival spidey senses tingling. They look dangerous, even at 6 centimeters. So let's take a look at anglerfish more broadly and figure out why they're like that. First of all, what is an anglerfish? Anglerfish is an umbrella term for fish within the Lophiiformes order, most of which have a lure, or esca, to attract prey. There are over 200 species worldwide. Some live near the shore, but the weird ones that we think of when we hear the name are usually deep-water fishes. Some of their cousins also have escas, but they more often than not mimic fish prey, like worms or even crustacean larvae. But the anglerfish do something different. They host bioluminescent bacteria to let there be light at the bottom of the ocean. This bioluminescent lure is sometimes taken for granted. Yeah, a deepwater fish has strange adaptations, but there are still lots of questions scientists are still working out. We know that the esca is more of a follow-the-light trap than a miner's helmet lamp. Their prey moves slowly towards it, possibly expecting to find food, and then get swallowed whole by the massive mouth of the anglerfish. Opening and closing the mouth creates a vacuum that sucks in its prey. We see similar behaviors in frogfish and other Lophiiforms. But the real question is, how did it get to that? We don't know how the anglerfish acquires the bacteria it needs to shine bright like a diamond, though the most common hypothesis is that they get it from the seawater. We don't even know how it controls the intensity of the light, or what's going on at the molecular level to produce it. We also don't know how it navigates its dark waters when not using the light. If you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. And despite their massive mouths, teeth, and lures, most anglerfish that are caught by fishing boats or those who wash up on beaches have empty stomachs. So we don't know a whole lot about what they eat either. Okay, so in the absence of direct evidence, we have to take the little clues we have to paint a bigger picture. We know that they live in very deep waters, where light doesn't often penetrate. We know that prey doesn't come along often, and that whenever it does, the anglerfish has to eat as much as possible. The big mouth, as well as a stretchy stomach, help them catch and digest animals as big as themselves. Detecting prey is another issue. Some anglerfish have sort of mirror eyes that reflect light back into the retina. This serves a similar function to the tapetum lucidum in mammals and other land vertebrates. The idea is to prevent any light from being wasted. But when that's not enough, anglerfish have a sixth sense to detect prey. Their bodies are lined with sensory pores. These are helpful in sensing changes in water pressure and salinity, but they can also detect electrical signals from the muscle contractions of their prey. But of course, they're not the only ones who are perfectly adapted to life in the abyss. Their prey is also used to the crushing pressure, the extreme cold, the near pitch black conditions, and the low food availability. And more importantly, they also have sensory pores or organs to sense when there's a predator around. So, what does the anglerfish do? For a fish like this, stillness is the right move. Their comically small pelvic and pectoral fins help them make tiny adjustments to almost hover in the water. This prevents them from being spotted by prey, but also conserves a lot of energy in an environment where every calorie matters. And speaking of calories, here's another mystery about anglerfish. We're still not sure how anglerfish store their energy for the periods of time between meals. They have fatty deposits and low metabolic rates, but they don't have oily livers like deepwater sharks. So we don't know how long they can fast. Males of some species have figured out that it's better to let a female catch all the food for a little sperm. So, quick myth busting. Not all species have males that attach themselves to the female permanently. In many instances, the male just sticks around until the female spawns and then leaves. But the most amazing cases are those like the warty sea devil, long-ray sea devil, and soft sea devil, where the males, who are much smaller than their females, find their mate by her pheromones and then attach themselves to her permanently. The male releases enzymes through his mouth that make his lips fuse to her skin. After a while, the male goes blind, its fins atrophy, and its internal organs, other than the testes, stop working. Its only function becomes supplying the female with sperm. And the female will be in charge of providing him with all the necessary nutrients to survive. In a way, they turn themselves into living scrotums. In some cases, a single female can have multiple males attached to her. It's a bizarre system, which kind of makes sense. If you might only run into a potential partner once in your life, you better do your best to show your worth to her and stick around forever. But at the same time, it's such a strange adaptation that it's hard to imagine how it developed. So let's dig into their evolution a little bit to see how this could have evolved. Lophiiformes appeared 100 million years ago and were descendants of other deepwater fish. From there, they spread all over the world, occupying several different niches, but roughly maintaining a similar body plan, mating, and ambush predation strategies. Early anglerfish that stuck with the female longer might have had an advantage over those who were quick to release her after fertilizing the eggs. Over time, the clinginess became the expectation, and the extra touchy males made it a lot more than the more chill ones. Over millions of years, this turned into the sexual parasitism that we see today. The anglerfish's other adaptations are also a mystery. Early versions of the anglerfish resembled modern-day monkfish. These ugly little guys don't have the bioluminescent esca, but have the big mouth to suck in their prey. Since they live in shallower waters, there's more prey availability, and just hiding at the bottom gives them enough cover to ambush their prey. So the monkfish is the baseline, but from there, all different species adapted to new environments. Frogfishes, also members of the Lophiiformes order, have growths that resemble the algae or corals that they live in. That makes sense. But when some species started going into deep water, things got weird. The combination of darkness, low food, high pressure, and cold created a huge variety of species. Their variety in itself is a huge mystery. We don't know what evolutionary pressures led to different types of anglerfish. Or in other words, why isn't there one kind of anglerfish, like the perfect anglerfish all over the world, instead of hundreds of species? We might just be too terrestrial to understand the difference between different types of deep water. This mystery, as well as the question of whether they have a social life, remains important areas of research. If you're into fishes and want to make a difference in our understanding of anglerfish, consider studying them. Many species are still very understudied, and every new piece of the puzzle helps us understand these weirdos a little better. A snake-like shark with gaping jaws and hundreds of trident-shaped teeth. A shark so elusive and rare that when it's seen, people believe it to be a prehistoric monster from another dimension. And in a way, it's true. This beast has remained unchanged for millions of years. So what's allowed this sea serpent to thrive in the shadows for so long? This is the weirdest shark in the world, the frilled shark. We're talking about one of the strangest sharks in the world, with a face only a shark lover could find cute. Spoiler alert, I think they're adorable. And you'd think that this is some deep water species from a faraway sea, but really, it's all over the place. Frilled sharks have been found all over the world's oceans. If you've swam in the sea at night, there's a solid chance you weren't far from one of them. But don't worry, they have no interest in you at all. Even though they can be up to 2 meters long with eel-like bodies and relatively small fins, they mostly eat squids and other invertebrates. Their hundreds of needle-like teeth are adaptations to catch slippery prey, and whenever they catch something larger, they can swallow it whole thanks to its massive jaws. Their name comes from the 6 pairs of frilly gill slits. The frills are thought to help close the slits to create a vacuum and suck in prey. The strangeness of the frilled shark doesn't end at his teeth or its snake-like body. Its body lacks the massive muscles of other sharks of similar size, and their metabolism is extremely slow, which makes sense because they spend a lot of time in cold, deep waters. This makes them long and slow-moving, and people have confused them for sea serpents for centuries. The oldest scientific record of the frilled shark was from 1844. Samuel Garman described it as the fish's appearance in the forward portion of the body, particularly in the head, brings vividly to mind the triangular heads, deep cleft mouths, and fierce look of many of our most dreaded snakes. And you can't blame them. If you've never seen one of these animals and one washed ashore in your small fishing town, you'd be way more likely to think it's some sort of fat snake than a skinny shark. This is a young individual that was caught alive by a research ship from the Center of Sea Science in Algarve, Portugal. They were researching deep-sea sharks when they amazingly caught a live young frilled shark. This is possibly the closest a camera has ever been to a living, swimming frilled shark. They got to see up close their unique teeth, flamboyant gills, and a body plan that seemed more appropriate for the Jurassic than for the 21st century. Most sharks simply don't look like that anymore, but at one point they did. The Carboniferous, around 300 million years ago, was the golden age of sharks, and many new species appeared. Many had similar features as modern-day frilled sharks. By the Cretaceous, about 80 million years ago, sharks had taken many forms, but the frilled shark that we know and love was already there, and it's remained relatively unchanged ever since. Fossils of frilled shark relatives have been found from around that same period, showing just how little their body plan has changed. So really, it's the other sharks that got weird. The frilled shark belongs to one of the most ancient shark lineages in the world. Their relatives include the 6-gill shark and the broad-nosed 7-gill shark. These are some of the most basal sharks known to science. To remain unchanged for so long, it has to have kept its lifestyle pretty much the same for millions of years. During the day, it goes to the depths of the ocean, where it spends its time moving slowly and conserving energy. At night, it goes closer to the surface, sometimes as close to it as 50 meters deep, to look for squid and other prey. Because they spend most of their time in the dark, they have underdeveloped optical lobes and rely on their pressure-sensory organs and electroreceptors to find their prey. To catch prey, it slowly sneaks up and then lunges. But there's still no high-quality footage of a frilled shark hunting in the wild. The frilled shark generally doesn't come up to depths where scuba divers can see it. When it does, it's usually a sign of illness or disturbances in the water, so we don't get to see it acting naturally. Thankfully, as submarines and underwater drones have become more accessible, we're starting to get glimpses of the shark, and we're starting to understand this adorable weirdo a little better. We know now that the teeth can catch prey that can't swim backwards. We also know that it can eat larger prey, like smaller sharks, sometimes half its own body size. And we know that over half of its meals are made up of squid. We've also started learning about their reproduction recently. Frilled sharks have one of the longest gestation periods of all known animals. So cool! Although not quite as long as the Greenland sharks, the frilled shark stays pregnant for over 3 years. An average litter has 6 pups, but in some cases it can be up to 12 babies. The pups hatch inside the mom, and she carries them until they're about 50 centimeters long. But we only know this based on specimens caught by fishing boats. No one has ever seen a frilled shark give birth, feed its young, or interact socially. It's like a ghost that gives birth to baby ghosts in the shadows and only appears when you're not looking. But science is a continuous process, and one day that will change. One day we'll see a frilled shark live birth, and you'll be the first to know it here on Animalogic. The frilled shark's low reproductive rate puts them at risk. Their populations might decline in some areas due to overfishing, but thankfully they seem to be stable at the moment. Sometimes they get caught as bycatch and are sold as meat or as a base for fish meat. But since we now know how important they are, try not to eat them. How could you eat a cutie that looks like this? So there you have it. This strange serpentine monster turns out to be a sweetie. All it wants to do is nap in the water, eat Squidward, and give birth to cat-sized little weirdos. I hope they have been redeemed in your eyes. This aquatic wonder can be best described as completely unbothered. It takes its time, gliding leisurely through the waves and occasionally even sunbathing on the surface. Predators can tear chunks out of it, and it just keeps on keeping on. It doesn't even have a bone to pick with the fact that its status as biggest bony fish has been recently toppled by a close relative. This is the sunfish. The ocean sunfish, otherwise known as the mola mola, is the second largest bony fish in the seas. But coming in second doesn't mean that the species isn't preposterously massive. Sunfishes can easily reach a ton in weight, but the heaviest on record was over 2 tons and was an almost perfect circle at 3.3 meters in diameter. Yep, it's round as a silver dollar, but about 100 times bigger, as heavy as a large giraffe. Until recently, the sunfish was believed to be the absolute biggest bony fish in the world. That record was upset by the discovery of a specimen of Mola alexandrini, also known as the bumphead sunfish, which weighed more than 2,700 kilograms. Along with ocean sunfish, this species is one of the 5 extant species of the Mollidae family. It makes sense that the word mola comes from the Latin for millstone, which perfectly describes these mega-heavy, disc-like fish. Despite looking like a bunch of ancient artifacts, this group is actually among the youngest in the ocean. They made their grand appearance in the seas about 50 million years later than most other modern fish. Sunfish are known for their iconic derpy appearance. They have bulging heads, big, vacant eyes, and 4 beak-like teeth that can't quite meet, giving them the look of a forever mouth breather. But the teeth that really matter for the sunfish are in their pharyngeal jaws, located in their throats. Pharyngeal teeth have evolved independently in many species of bony fish and are used for food capture and separating wanted from unwanted food. In the case of the sunfish, their pharyngeal teeth are used to trap and swallow the jellyfish that make up a large portion of their diet. Whatever particles the sunfish doesn't want to eat are then jetted out of its mouth. It can also use this jet force to defend itself from predators and even propel itself to make a super slow escape. Being large doesn't always mean you're slow in the animal kingdom. If you don't believe me, just try and outrun a hippo. But in the case of this underwater giant, the sunfish's enormous size does really make it seem like it's swimming through molasses. Its top speed is a breakneck 3 kilometers an hour. Unlike other fish, that have tails formed from the caudal fin that acts like a propeller to push the fish through the water, sunfish have a pseudotail that steers more like a rudder. Called the clavus, this pseudotail doesn't grow alongside the rest of the fish. which gives the sunfish its round shape. To propel itself through the water, the sunfish flaps its exaggerated back and belly fins like wings. This is similar to the flapping motion of these same fins in its cousins, the puffer and porcupine fish. Sunfish can be found lolling about the globe in tropical and temperate waters, though they can tolerate temperatures as low as 2 degrees Celsius. So in theory, they could be anywhere, other than the Arctic and Antarctic oceans. If they get chilly, sunfish simply float to the surface, lay on their sides, and soak up some rays. If you didn't pick up on it by now, that's why they are nicknamed sunfish. Laying on their sides on the surface actually serves more than one purpose. Their big, slimy bodies can be home to over 40 types of parasites. So by floating on the surface, they invite seabirds to snack on the creepy crawlies that cover their skin. To prevent their eyes from being plucked out by indiscriminate seagulls, the sunfish is equipped with a specialized muscle that allows them to pull their eyes deep inside their sockets.
Hey everyone, we have exciting news! We're thrilled to announce the release of Animalogic's very first book, Strange Creatures. This book dives into the most incredible animals we've ever featured on the show, with each chapter packed with my illustrations and stunning full-color images. It's a fun and engaging way to learn about the animal kingdom, and a perfect tool to spark kids' interest in science. Each chapter breaks down an animal's biology, behavior, and all the coolest facts you need to know about these fascinating creatures. Animalogic's Strange Creatures is a must-have addition to your own library, or the perfect gift for an animal lover this upcoming holiday season.
Click the link in the description to check it out, and if you can, order a copy. It would mean the world. Thank you so much, and I hope that you love the book. When being groomed by overzealous seabirds, some of the flesh will inevitably come away with the parasite. But that doesn't seem to bother the sunfish too much at all. Apparently, they aren't even too fussed when predators take a bigger bite either. 'Tis but a scratch. Their large size and very thick skin keeps most would-be predators at bay, but sunfish are still occasionally preyed upon by sharks, orcas, and sea lions. When they tire of their twisted little games, the sea lions will abandon the sunfish to sink to the bottom and die. Mammals, why are we always such jerks? It may come as no surprise that one of the greatest threats to adult sunfish is another mammal, Homo sapiens. Boat propellers and rudders can easily kill a floating mola, and drift gill nets can damage their skin and protective mucus layer and fill their gills with air. Plastic bags, too, are especially dangerous for molas because a floating bag can be mistaken for a delicious jellyfish. Once ingested, the bag can easily choke the mola or clog its stomach, preventing it from being able to eat. Despite the fact that these surface-loving giants are easy to spot, the research on sunfish isn't actually that extensive. We don't know, for example, how fast they grow, or how long they live in the wild. Because they live out in the vast open ocean, we're also still trying to grasp the size of their populations around the world, and even where they spawn. We do know that females will lay up to 300 million eggs every breeding season. The babies start their lives as tiny larvae less than half a centimeter in size. But how they manage to survive to the behemoths we find gliding through the ocean is still an alluring mystery. A giant silver ribbon of a fish is said to be a prophet of doom. In Japanese folklore, they're messengers from the gods, telling beach dwellers a simple message: run for your lives. They were seen in large numbers before the 2011 tsunami, and we're starting to see them again. What message do they bring this time? This is the oarfish. Oarfish are showing up on beaches all over the world. Should we be taking this as a sign of the end of times? Hopefully not. Let's take a look into what makes this fish such a spooky sight. The oarfish is the longest bony fish in the world. Full-grown adults get to about 8 meters long on average, but there are confirmed sightings of 11-meter-long individuals. That's about 3 great white sharks long. There are also unconfirmed reports of oarfish 17 meters long, or about 5 great white sharks.
Somehow managed to teach an oarfish to walk on land on its anal fins, it would be taller than a giraffe.
Or about as tall as this palm tree. Just to further illustrate how massive they are, take a look at this 5-meter-long fishy caught in Chile. Now, imagine one almost twice as long as this. That's how big they get. Despite being skinny enough that seafarers mistook them for mythical giant sea serpents, oarfish can be close to 300 kilos, or about the same as a polar bear.
So they're thin, long, and spooky, and are really just the fish version of Slender Man. Slender fish? Yeah.
It's really a ridiculously huge fish. But we really don't hear much about them because they're deep-water fish that only come up to the surface to die, or washed ashore already dead. It also helps that they have absolutely no interest in us. Despite their freaky size, they have a tiny mouth, optimized to eat krill and plankton.
Having said that, if you were scuba diving and one of these slender fish popped up out of nowhere, you'd be justified in being scared witless. They look ominous and less cartoony than other deep-water weirdos.
They have an elegant, ribbon-like body with iridescent silvery skin, a crimson-red dorsal fin, 400 fin rays across its body, and a prickly red faux hawk crown on its head. It's an imposing body plan that has earned the slenderfish the nickname the King of Herrings. And their genus, of which they're the only members, is called Regalicus, due to their regal aura. And some scientists have reported oarfish giving electric shocks when touched.
They look like they could be Poseidon's pets. But anyway, you came here to find out if they're really prophets of doom. And the answer is obviously sometimes.
Oarfish live in waters up to 1,000 meters, as far as we know. They're not great swimmers due to their tiny, underdeveloped, royalty-like muscles. They also lack swim bladders to control their buoyancy. This makes them very susceptible to sea currents, which is sometimes caused by seismic activity. When the sea is angry, the current might push older, weaker, and sick individuals into shallower water, and eventually to the beach.
So if you've never seen this fish before, and suddenly a massive one washes up on your local beach, and then soon after an earthquake happens, you might be right in assuming that there's correlation, but there really isn't any causation.
This happened in Japan prior to the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. People started reporting sightings of this fish as early as 2009. About 20 oarfish were spotted before the earthquake, which reinforced the locals' belief that this was a soothsayer of destruction. This is a long-held belief, and they're even called the messengers from the sea god's palace.
Hey, see? Everyone thinks that they're regal to the point of being almost supernatural.
In 2024, oarfish were in the news a lot because 3 of them washed up on the shores of California. The Golden State lies next to the San Andreas Fault, which is part of the Ring of Fire, a huge belt where 90% of the world's earthquakes happen. So, yes, there was a clustering of oarfish sightings, and they coincidentally happened in an area of high seismic activity. But just to be super clear, this is a coincidence, unrelated to the tragic wildfires and other natural disasters. There are many possible reasons why we've seen so many oarfish recently. Water pollution, changes in temperature, noise pollution from sonars, a decrease in prey availability, diseases, or simply natural causes are factors that might lead to more oarfish dying in a certain area.
Also, the fact that almost everyone has a camera in their pocket these days makes it seem like there's been more sightings than there were in the past. Whereas before, a fisherman might have seen one overboard and thought to himself, "Oh, weird, a thunderfish," and never told anyone about it.
The mysteriousness of this fish is amplified by the fact that we almost never see them alive. They live too deep for us to dive and see them in person, and they're most commonly seen as bycatch in fishing nets. But submarines are getting more accessible, and Japanese and American scientists have managed to see them live, swimming weirdly in hypnotic, undulating motions, with their heads pointing up in what they describe as vertical swimming.
DNA studies have given us extra insight into their biology. Even though they were once called the king of herrings, they're actually land promoters.
That means that they're more closely related to ribbonfish and crestfish, which makes sense. But surprisingly, also to mola mola. Fish family trees are weird. But though Oarfish are Luigi to mola mola's Mario, the resemblance becomes more obvious when you take behavior into account. They're both slow-moving fish that eat very small prey. They don't chase anything, and are mostly unbothered by the whole obsession humans have for them. The doomfish are also important markers of the health of their ecosystems. Deep-sea habitats are often overlooked because we can't see them, but overfishing and contamination are leading to a sharp decline in population numbers. Thankfully, as technology advances, we're learning more and more about these amazing creatures.
They might be the stuff of legends, but oarfish are real, and they're some of the most incredible creatures in the ocean. If you happen to see one, please take lots of photos and videos. Citizen science can play a huge role in their conservation. Imagine, you could be the person who gives us amazing insights into the biology of the oarfish.
Behold! The greatest impersonator of the animal kingdom. This small cephalopod can be found in the shallow waters of the Indo-Pacific. Or maybe more accurately, it can't be found in the shallow waters of the Indo-Pacific. That's because it's often pretending to be something else entirely. This is the master of disguise, the mimic octopus. The mimic octopus is an underwater changeling with the power to seemingly transform into other species at a moment's notice. At just 60 centimeters maximum, the mimic octopus, officially known as Thaumoctopus mimicus, is quite demure compared to its largest cousin, the giant Pacific octopus, which can reach up to 4 meters across. Most octopus species share the ability to change their color, shape, and texture in the blink of an eye. In the case of the mimic octopus, they take it a little further, doing a complete quick change faster than you can say, "I'll have the octopus ceviche." Camouflage in nature is used to help prey avoid being eaten. In some cases, camouflage is also used by predators to get close to prey without being detected. This adaptation is a serious evolutionary flex. Camouflage tactics usually involve blending in seamlessly with the background. But for a creature as talented as a mimic octopus, the point of changing its appearance isn't to blend in. It's to stand out and scream, "Come at me, I dare ya!" Researchers have reported seeing these octopuses transform into everything from mantis shrimp and giant crabs to seahorses and starfish. But their preferred disguise is that of creatures that are packed with dangerous venom. This intimidating facade ensures that any predators floating by are fooled into thinking this otherwise delicious octopus is something that's definitely not on the menu. Like many adaptations, the mimic octopus got so good at mimicking because of its chosen habitat, in the open sandy shallows near river mouths. These areas are teeming with predators like large bony fishes, sea snakes, and sharks. To stay hidden, most of the time they'll either be peeking out of their burrows or camouflaging motionlessly with their surroundings. But as soon as they have to move, their cover is blown. That's when it becomes very important to pretend you're someone else. The octopus, for example, puts on a venomous disguise, dressing itself up as a lionfish. After matching the lionfish's distinct stripes, the octopus mimics its venomous spines by holding its flattened tentacles up around its body.
Oh, hold on guys, I'm trying to catch a lionfish on Fishing Clash, the sponsor of this video, to show you how scary they are. This is one of the coolest ways of learning about fish without having to go to remote locations and seeing them in person. Wow, look at this thing. Beautiful model too, look at the texture on that. Fishing Clash has over 1,000 fish from all over the world. Different locations have different fish, and you level up to catch rare fish by getting better lures, rods, and power-ups. In Florida, lionfish are a common fish, but as you get better gear, you get to see awesome fish like bonnethead sharks. You get to travel the world and see the local fish, from the Amazon to Hawaii to even the Lost World, where you can catch extinct species. There's a lot of ways to play the game too. You can go on leisure fishing trips, do competitive online tournaments, and join your friends to start your very own clan. Check out the game by clicking the link in the description or scan the QR code here. And be sure to use the promo code Animalogic to get $20 worth of equipment and power-ups and a unique avatar. To redeem your special code, go to Settings, tap on Gift Codes, and enter Animalogic to unlock exclusive gifts from our channel. Follow the steps shown on the screen. Use that to collect all the fish and hopefully some mimic octopuses in disguise. And let me know which ones are your favorite fish. We might feature them on the show.
Not many creatures have the blind courage to swallow a spiny and venomous lionfish, so this disguise works quite nicely as a warning to would-be predators. Here, the octopus raises its crimped tentacles to mimic a sand anemone, which packs a toxic sting. In order to sell the deception, the mimic octopus does more than just transform its appearance. It even adopts its target species' movements and behaviors. Hey, it might not fool you, but it certainly fools its predators. When it transforms into a venomous jellyfish, for example, the mimic will wave its tentacles the same way a jelly does, as it propels itself upwards through the water. Here, we see a mimic octopus transforming into a banded soul before our very eyes. By holding its arms flush against its flattened body, the octopus can easily pass for this poisonous fish. When in soul mode, the octopus glides across the bottom just like the fish to fully sell its clever disguise. Here, an octodaddy takes the shape of one of the world's most venomous snakes, the banded sea crate, to ward off potential predators. It achieves this threatening look by pulling 6 of its tentacles out of sight and stretching out the remaining 2 in opposite directions. It then, of course, dons the striking black and light gray stripes that are the hallmark of this highly venomous snake. Here is a mimic octo pretending to be a moray eel, a fish that packs a powerful bite and whose colors resemble those of venomous snakes. So this octo may actually be mimicking a non-venomous eel, who itself is mimicking a venomous snake. Things can get very meta on the seafloor. If mimic octopuses weren't shape-shifting enough, they are often mistaken for their closely related but smaller cousin, Wonderpus photogenicus, otherwise known as the Wonderpus octopus. Admittedly, they do look quite similar, but there are a few small differences, most notably the long eye stalks of the Wonderpus, which give it an adorably cartoonish look. Both the Wonderpus and the Mimic have Oscar-worthy acting abilities, but even though the Wonderpus has more charisma, the Mimic seems to have more range, at least for what researchers have observed in the wild. Octopuses can color change thanks to specialized cells called chromatophores, located just below the surface of their skin. The center of each chromatophore cell contains a sac of pigment in colors like black, brown, orange, or yellow. To change color, each sac stretches or shrinks to give the right hue. Not only can octopuses change color, they can also change texture. Projections on the skin, called papillae, adjust to create textures ranging from smooth to bumpy. A true testament to their ability to hide in plain sight is the fact that mimic octopuses weren't even discovered until 1998. Our very limited experience with these incredible mimics means that we're just at the beginning of our understanding of what they can do. Right now, we don't even know for certain the extent of the mimicking capabilities of these octopuses. Scientists believe that we've only seen a fraction of the disguises these mimics can do. Who knows? Maybe your favorite YouTube show is run by mimic octopuses pretending to be nature documentary filmmakers. Orcas are unrelenting underwater predators, as smart as they are vicious. With no predators to keep them in check, these massive dolphins have free run, or more accurately, free swim of the oceans. There is only one species that won't take that kind of bravado without a fight. This is orcas versus humpbacks. Orcas, also known as killer whales, are technically the largest dolphin species. Their power and coordinated pack hunting is unmatched. Even the fearsome great white shark can fall prey to a hungry orca. If you're so terrifying you have jaws looking over its dorsal fin, you know you've found a true killer. Much like other dolphins, orcas live in tight-knit pods. Part of orca society is working together to hunt. And hunt they do. Orcas are exceptionally skilled hunters, employing all kinds of specially developed tactics to increase their chances of a kill. And because of their intelligence and close bonds, orca hunting techniques are passed down from generation to generation, ensuring that every new orca that is born into the group can use these highly honed tactics down the line. The only sea creature that has been documented to disrupt an orca hunt is the humpback whale, and humpbacks love to mess with these apex killers whenever they get the chance. One theory among researchers is that orcas have been known to hunt the calves of humpback whales. So whenever a humpback sees orcas trying to hunt, they'll get in the middle to prevent the orca from making a successful kill. Just a little marine FU to the orcas. There have even been documented cases of single humpbacks pursuing and attacking whole pods of orcas. Sometimes these epic underwater melees can last for hours, full of breaching, intimidating tail slams, and loud vocalizations. The relative size of the humpbacks makes this a terrifying battle indeed. A small adult humpback is 4 times the weight of the largest orca. That's about the size difference of a human compared to a grizzly. So you can see how more times than not, the humpbacks send the orcas packing. Orcas are the only natural predator of humpback whales, so the beef, or blubber in this case, is personal. Because of their size, humpback adults are rarely a target for orcas. Rather, it's their young that are their coveted prey. Humpback whale calves are covered in nutrient-rich blubber, so they make a hearty meal for a pod of orcas. The only way to successfully hunt a baby humpback is to separate it from its mother, because these mama whales are extremely protective of their young. She'll shield the baby with her flippers, or even put it on her back to keep it away from the circling orcas. Often, other humpbacks will join the fight, trying to protect the baby by running off the orcas. The killer whales use a coordinated attack to separate mother and calf. Once the humpback mother is no longer there to save it, they'll exhaust and finally drown the calf. They'll sometimes do this by grabbing the whale's flippers and flipping it over so it can't escape, all while holding it underwater. Valiant, a humpback that frequents the Salish Sea between Canada's British Columbia and America's Washington state, is known for its aggressive behavior towards orcas. One possible explanation is the rake marks made by orca teeth that Valiant bears, likely from when it was just a calf. Perhaps the memory of that early attack drives it and its brethren towards revenge as adults.
Despite the obvious animosity between these two species, there has been at least one recorded incident of orcas actually helping a humpback. In Western Australia, a pod of orcas was seen helping to free a humpback from a rope it had become entangled in. It's unclear if they were truly trying to help the humpback, but they certainly didn't attack it while it was all tied up. Other than humpbacks, killer whales have been known to hunt other species of whales as well, like minke, fin, ray, and beaked, to name a few. They often gang up on their prey, taking turns to bite and hold it underwater in order to tire it out and eventually drown it. Once it's incapacitated, the all-you-can-eat blubber buffet starts. But they don't just go after species in their own order of cetacea. They'll even attack and kill cousins in their own dolphin family. Killer whales have been known to hunt down and chow down on many different species of dolphins around the planet. While they are harder to catch due to their speed, dolphins make as good a snack as any for these hungry opportunists. The strategy is the same as with baby whales. Dolphins are bitten and held just below the surface in a brutal display of strength and ruthlessness. A couple of orcas can send a whole pod of dolphins in a mad scramble for safety. To avoid creating drag while opening their mouths underwater and slowing down mid-pursuit, killer whales will ram the dolphin from below, sending it flying through the air. The stunned dolphin then becomes much easier to snap up. While they prey on lots of other mammals, like seals, sea lions, penguins, and porpoises, as well as fish from salmon all the way up to great white sharks, nothing preys on orcas. Great whites are so afraid of orcas that they are known to immediately leave the area if a pod of orcas splashes up. In particularly brutal fashion, orcas will often attack from below, flipping the great white over so it can no longer swim. Then, they swiftly snatch the nutrient-rich liver right out and leave the rest of its carcass for fish food. So why, if orcas are such brutal killers, do they not attack humans? After all the kidnapping and captivity, the hunting and the pollution of their habitat, why don't orcas pick off beachgoers like popcorn from a bag? Despite giving them every reason to hate us, there has never been a documented kill of a human by an orca in the wild. Even after all the reports of orcas capsizing boats on the coast of Spain and Portugal, the passengers who took unwilling swims were left completely unharmed. One explanation could point to their diets. Orcas commonly prefer foods that are suited to their nutritional needs and their environment. While killer whales in the Antarctic down penguins and blubber-rich seals, orcas off the North American Northern Pacific coast eat almost exclusively salmon to fuel their bodies. The answer as to why killer whales don't eat people could be as simple as, we don't look delicious to them. We might be too skinny compared to sumptuously fat marine mammals. Let's hope they never get a taste for humans, because as we know now, they'll pass that gruesome knowledge down for generations to come. Don't let their cuteness fool you. Beyond their adorable frolicking among the waves, which has made us fall in love with them since times immemorial, there's a ruthless world. The life of a dolphin is dangerous and violent, and often its worst enemy is another member of its species. This is the dark side of dolphins. The hunting of dolphins is immoral, and whoever willingly devises destruction for dolphins can no more draw nigh the gods as a welcome sacrificer, nor touch their altars with clean hands. Ancient Greek poet Oppian might have gone a bit over the top when he described how revered dolphins are to us humans. But even for humans today, dolphins have a special place among the more sentient animals. In ancient Greece, dolphins were depicted as people rescuers, sharing many positive human traits, like friendship, sociability, goodwill, and playfulness.
Over the centuries, as we've studied them more closely, we've discovered that dolphins also share our less desirable human traits, like individualism and even violence. Dolphins comprise 36 species that can be found all around the planet. Like humans, dolphins have complex social systems and are highly individualistic. This sense of me first, as we know ourselves, can sometimes result in a lot of sketchy behavior. Dolphins are apex predators that hunt both for necessity and fun. Their strategies for swarming and gobbling up their prey are well documented. From creating mud clouds in the water to confuse prey, to bum-rushing fish onto shore and snapping them up on the sand. We are always discovering new ways that dolphins have found to secure their snacks. What is more surprising is when we uncover dolphins harming or even killing for sport. Bottlenose dolphins have been seen killing the significantly smaller harbor porpoise. The scientists studying this behavior have yet to determine the why behind it, but it seems that competition for resources isn't one of the reasons, as there isn't much overlap in the diet of these two species. More likely, these dolphins are maiming and killing porpoises to maintain their fighting skills, or much more sinisterly, just because it's fun. And porpoises aren't the only species that dolphins snag for their entertainment. Dolphins have been known to use turtles, pufferfish, and octopuses as living toys. They've even been observed using pufferfish to get a little bit high. When stressed, pufferfish release a neurotoxin powerful enough to kill. But when used sparingly, it can make dolphins pleasantly blissed out. Dolphins have even been observed passing the puffer around a group to get high together, and staring at their own reflections in the water's surface above. While they may be vibing during recreational time, when it comes to reproduction, dolphins aren't quite so relaxed. Sex and aggression in dolphin society often go hand in hand, and male dolphins are especially hostile in their interactions with females. In a behavior called herding, a group of 2 to 3 males are known to surround a female who is unwilling to mate, capture her, and prevent her from mating with anyone else. This imprisonment can go on for weeks at a time. All the while, they're trying to coerce her into being receptive to their advances. This is a particularly brutal reproductive strategy to ensure that the male who successfully mates with her will carry on his line. But females also have their own strategies to avoid becoming impregnated by a male they don't like. Female bottlenose dolphins have evolved complex spiral-shaped vaginas, with folds leading to dead ends. If a male forces himself upon her, she can rotate her body, causing him to spill his seed in the wrong direction. She can then swim off to mate with a male she picks herself. Sex among dolphins isn't always so violent, thankfully. Australian humpback dolphins have been seen courting females by bringing them enormous sea sponges, all while singing and dancing. These visual and auditory displays, along with the gift of a hefty sponge, could be meant to convince the female that he would be a strong and virile partner. The less romantic interpretation is that he's showing off just how strong he is, as a display of dominance to coerce her into mating. And now we're back at violence, which I guess is never far from the surface with dolphins. Remember those murdered porpoises? They were killed at the height of the breeding season, when testosterone in male dolphins is at its peak, and their most ferocious tendencies are on display. During this time, dolphins have even been known to have the blood of their own brethren on their flippers. Infanticide happens among dolphins when males kill the young of a female they didn't mate with. This reproductive strategy ensures that the female will become fertile again in a few months, quickly opening up the possibility of a successful pairing for that male. In 2009, a scientist in Scotland observed an attempted infanticide when a male charged into a mixed group of bottlenose dolphins, grabbing a newborn calf and attempting to kill it.
The mother and others were able to pull the baby away, but it was found 8 months later, beached with serious spinal injuries. These kinds of aggressive attacks against newborns may explain why spinal deformities are common in that dolphin population. When it comes to dolphin sexual aggression, even other species aren't safe. Not even humans. There have been countless reports of male dolphins trying to use humans to scratch a biological itch. One coastal town in France even introduced a swimming ban in response to a lonely dolphin named Zafar that started harassing swimmers. Much like us humans, touch is an important part of bonding and communication in dolphin society. Dolphins will often touch each other's flippers or brush up against each other as they swim alongside. The need to touch sexually is also part of reinforcing bonds among dolphins, even between same-sex individuals. The fact that Zafar was an outcast from dolphin society was likely a contributing factor to him seeking contact, sexual and otherwise, from the humans who were drawn to his gregarious nature. While dolphins may engage in some seriously sketchy behavior according to us, hyperbole aside, they can't be viewed through a human moral lens. Instead, we could use these complex creatures as a mirror to hold up to ourselves in an effort to examine our own darker sides.
The ocean is deep, dark, cold, and full of mysteries. The bottom is so poorly understood that we know the surface of Mars better than the depths of our oceans. But what we do know is that down there, things get big. Some might even say giant. Shrimp-like crustaceans longer than your forearm, isopods the size of cats, crabs the size of cars, and squids so massive they could square off with a school bus. But why? What is the reason behind these species growing so much longer than their shallow water cousins? This is deep sea gigantism.
Why does living in the deep make everything so weirdly gigantic? Is it something in the water? Or is it something missing from the bottom of the ocean? Let's take a deep dive into what's really going on down there and why life in the deep tends to go big or go home.
The ocean is weird all over. But the real mythological creature-like stuff starts happening at around 1,000 meters, or 3,200 feet. That's like 3 Empire State Buildings stacked one on top of the other, but imagine they were all covered in water. This is the Midnight Zone. The sun doesn't shine here. It's an unforgiving place, and yet over 3/4 of the ocean are over 1,000 meters deep. So there is more area of deep ocean than there is land on Earth.
This place is dark, cold, and home to one of the ocean's most mysterious and oldest giants, the Greenland shark.
These massive sharks get up to 6.5 meters, or about as long as an American pickup truck. They're the 3rd largest sharks in the world, but the largest active predators, because the whale shark and basking shark are plankton eaters. As you can probably tell by their name, these massive fish live in the cold waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. Unlike their movie star great white cousins, these guys are not flashy. They move at less than 2 kilometers per hour, the slowest known swim speed and tail beat frequency of any large fish. But this isn't laziness. It's crucial to their survival, even though they can sneak up on seals and have been found with polar bear remains in their stomach. Food doesn't come easy or often. They can go without food for several weeks, potentially even months, depending on the size of their last meal. But moving slowly helps conserve energy in a place where calories are rare.
To survive in a place with no sunlight and little food, you have to be very energetically efficient. One of the key factors is metabolic scaling, the idea that as animals get larger, they use energy more efficiently. So even though the Greenland shark is massive, it needs surprisingly little energy to live. But on the flip side, it also has very little to use. So they're extremely slow and grow less than a centimeter a year, sometimes over centuries.
Radiocarbon dating has shown the existence of 400-year-old Greenland sharks, making them the longest living vertebrates in the world. There are Greenland sharks that are alive today that were already swimming around England when Shakespeare was still alive.
Their slow growth also means it takes a long time to become sexually mature. In the Greenland shark's case, it's around 150 years of age. A Greenland shark could have been born the same day as Winston Churchill, and is only becoming sexually mature today.
But that kind of slow, steady growth over a very long lifespan isn't unique to the Greenland shark.
And maybe even weirder, it doesn't stop. Myself and you, unless you're a deep-sea giant, of course, grow to a certain height and then stop growing. But a lot of deep-sea species don't have that hard limit. As long as they're getting food and not getting eaten, they'll just keep growing. And when you combine that with the fact that these animals often live for a very long time, you get some really strange, humongous beasts with long lives and even longer legs.
Really, really long legs. The Japanese spider crab holds the title for largest arthropod on Earth, with a leg span that can stretch up to 4 meters across, or about as big as a sedan. And yet, its body is surprisingly modest, not much bigger than a football. These towering crabs haunt the deep waters off the coast of Japan. And despite their terrifying size, they're not predators. Instead, they prefer the chill lifestyle of a scavenger, eating whatever happens to fall to the bottom of the ocean. Aw, slender crab's kinda nice.
Predation requires a lot of energy, and few animals in the deep sea can afford to pay that price. This has caused low predation pressure, which has led to gigantism. When nothing's chasing you and you've got centuries to kill, there's room to grow big, slow, and strange.
The spider crab isn't the only deep-sea creature taking advantage of all that space and safety. Meet another bottom dweller built for the long haul, the giant isopod. It's a relative of the common roly-poly pillbug, but these armored crustaceans can grow to the size of a French bulldog. They live from around 200 to 2,000 meters below the surface, where they vacuum clean the bottom of the ocean. Almost anything is edible to them: whale fall, fish carcasses, even scraps from shipwrecks. It's all delicious to them.
Like other deep-sea giants, their bulk likely evolved in response to cold temperatures, limited food, and a low predator environment. The kind of setting where getting big and staying still actually pays off.
They're so good at conserving energy, one captive isopod famously went over 5 years without eating, the longest recorded fast by any animal in captivity. It's the deep-sea version of bulking season. Store energy, move slowly, and wait out the next meal, even if it takes months or years to arrive.
So far, we've looked at animals that got big by taking it slow, conserving energy, playing the long game, and having no predators. But not every deep-sea giant is built for a quiet life in the dark. Some got massive in part because of an evolutionary arms race with a predator.
Enter the giant squid, with tentacles as long as a school bus and eyes the size of dinner plates. The giant squid is a real contender as one of the most terrifying ocean creatures of all time. Most common squid species max out at just a few dozen centimeters, barely the length of your forearm, making this giant squid one of the most extreme examples of deep-sea gigantism ever recorded. Its massive size is likely the result of its battles with the largest toothed predator on Earth, the sperm whale. What, did you think I was going to say T-Rex? Gotcha. While no one's ever filmed a full-on squid-whale showdown, the evidence is etched on the whales themselves, in the form of sucker scars on their heads and squid beaks in the whale stomachs. Over time, natural selection likely favored squid that were large enough to escape, strong enough to fight back, or at the very least, harder to swallow.
This is an example of size evolving in response to predation pressure, when the pressure to avoid being eaten leads to an increase in body size. Combine that with the other forces we've seen, cold temperatures, slow metabolisms, low light environments, and you have a creature that's grown massive by design. The deep sea conditions simply demanded it.
There is another often overlooked factor that creates giants: oxygen availability. In some parts of the deep sea, oxygen levels drop dramatically. Oxygen minimum zones, usually found between 200 and 1,000 meters deep, are regions of the ocean with so little oxygen that most marine life cannot survive there. These midwater zones can have even less oxygen than deeper parts of the ocean.
But the real fun stuff starts to happen after 1,000 meters deep. This is an area with little life, little death, and little decay. Fewer rotten things means more oxygen, and deep ocean currents bring additional oxygen to the depths of the sea. Animals that can live here naturally get bigger than animals that have lower oxygen available.
Such is the case of the supergiant amphipod. Let's back it up a bit. If you've never heard of amphipods, all you need to know is that they're crustaceans that look like flat shrimp. Most amphipods are the size of your fingernail, but the supergiant amphi can grow up to 35 centimeters long, about the size of a house cat. These ghostly crustaceans can live at depths of over 6,000 meters. Their gill structure helps them extract oxygen more efficiently than their shallow water cousins. That extra oxygen intake powers a bigger body. A body that's perfectly suited for drifting through the pressure-packed dark, scavenging whatever it can. It's a reminder that in the deep, even the tiniest creatures can take a giant leap if evolution hands them the right tools.
These are just some of the most well-known deep-sea giants. There are several other giants that we're just beginning to understand.
Dumbo octopus are beautiful, hilarious, and look like cartoony octopus ghosts. But they're also larger than the average human being. Their adorable ear-like fins help them hover around while spending almost no energy. Giant polychaete worms, like the bobbit worm, can get to nearly 3 meters long and get energy from symbiotic bacteria. And siphonophores, though technically not an individual animal but colonies of animals, can be up to 40 meters long. These ones for sure deserve their own episode, so we'll talk about them at length another time.
At the bottom of the ocean, life slows down and stretches out. And somehow, against crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and total darkness, life, finds a way.
Understanding these animals can help us understand life as a whole. For example, studying giant amphipods has led to the discovery of unique molecules that protect cells under extreme pressure and stress. And these molecules may one day help prevent the protein clumps seen in diseases like Alzheimer's.
And the best part is that we've barely scratched the surface. More than 80% of the deep ocean remains unexplored, which means there might be other huge alien-like creatures down there just waiting to be discovered. And Godzilla.
The largest shark who ever lived. This leviathan struck terror in the hearts of mammals for millions of years. Their demise was abrupt and left a huge open niche in ocean ecosystems. Could a new beast assume the role of giant killer? This is the Megalodon.
The Megalodon is one of the most fearsome predators of all time. If you think the great white shark is scary, this submarine carnivore will give you nightmares.
Megalodon was massive, big enough to eat whales. Some estimates put them at around 18 meters, though there's some debate about that because all we have left of them is their teeth. Like all sharks, Megalodon's skeleton was made of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize. Luckily, their teeth were made of calcium phosphate minerals, which do fossilize. So we have plenty of huge teeth to get an idea of Megalodon's monstrous size. Their teeth are the largest of any shark ever found.
And they're really, really, really big.
A mature great white shark's teeth are up to 7 centimeters. Megalodon's larger known teeth are over 20 centimeters long. Just look at how tiny great white's teeth look next to them.
Megalodon made the great white shark seem like the meh white shark. And it did for a long time.
Megalodon appeared in the fossil record around 20 million years ago, a new time for Earth where grasslands and kelp forests had just developed, and new species were thriving. From then, they gradually got larger, reaching their maximum size right before extinction, around 3 million years ago.
During their reign, there was no safe haven in the ocean, especially if you're fat and delicious.
Megalodon, like their extant cousins, ate fatty marine mammals, which, to be fair, weren't as massive as they are now. We know of this shark cetacean diet because scientists have found whale bones with shark tooth marks that could only have been made by a megalodon. One of those mammalian snacks was Piscobalina, which was about 5 meters long. Not nearly as large as modern baleen whales, but just slightly smaller than orcas.
That's still nothing to scoff at. Killing something that big required gigantic jaws and a powerful bite.
Their mouth could be up to 3 meters wide, enough to eat you and a puma whole at the same time. Not that they would have liked you, you're probably too bony compared to their favorite snacks. Their killing strategy seemed to have been ambushing whales from below and biting off a big chunk of their guts. The whale would be dead before they even knew what bit them.
With a body made for killing giants, baby megalodons were under a lot of pressure to grow up quickly.
Studies done at the fossil sites of megalodon nurseries show that megalodon were born about 2 meters long, about the size of a sea lion, and could have reached their full size at just 25 years of age. It's unclear what they ate in their youth, but like most shark species, the competition was likely intense, and few would reach their full size. Cannibalism is relatively common in sharks, and for portions of their life, their siblings would have been the most available source of food.
It's a dangerous business being a shark, and unfortunately for this species, their chapter in the Book of Life came to an end pretty abruptly.
For such a formidable hunter to go extinct, it probably took massive changes in their environment. Changes in ocean currents caused by shifts in the tectonic plates caused major changes in the water temperatures. This likely caused krill to become less abundant in tropical waters. Several whale species went extinct, and many of those who survived moved to areas with better food supply, such as colder polar waters. Megalodon likely couldn't survive or at least breed in those areas. So, with not enough whales in the tropics and a huge body requiring lots of energy, Megalodon starved to oblivion.
This was the best day ever for cetaceans, and they raved on for millions of years until humans got involved and spoiled the party.
But in just those couple million years without megalodons, whale populations exploded. New species appeared, including the amazingly huge blue whale. Without a whale-eating apex predator, there was little pressure to be nimble, and their bodies essentially became factories to turn tiny crustaceans into blubber reservoirs.
But this wasn't truly the end to Megalodon's place in the human psyche. Their amazing biology has fascinated people for as long as their teeth have been discovered by beachgoers.
Naturalists and scientists have been studying their teeth since at least the 1600s. Of course, at the time, most people assumed the teeth belonged to dragons or monsters. But the similarity to great white teeth was quickly pointed out, and the myth of a living giant shark was born. The name Megalodon was coined back in 1843, And from those early teeth analyses, everyone could tell they were like nothing we'd ever seen before or since. Their teeth are still being found and sold on the internet, and even though these fossils belong in museums, many people still buy them. Though the larger teeth go for thousands of dollars, so maybe not the savviest investment.
And yet, many people still wonder if there could still be any megalodons alive in the depths of the ocean.
But don't worry, something so big would have been spotted by now. They would have to come closer to the surface to look for whales. The ocean is a peaceful place where you can go and relax and enjoy the beauty of the natural.
This is the shark alignment chart, starting with the most fun corner, chaotic evil. Obviously, no other shark could claim this spot but the famously grumpy bull shark. At just under 3 meters long, these toothy boys are not the biggest sharks in the ocean, but they make up for it by not giving a dang about anything. They're like the honey badgers of the sea. They'll eat anything they want, including unusual prey for sharks like land mammals, birds, and dolphins. But what makes them truly chaotic is their behavior around people. They're the most unpredictable shark in the ocean. They are bullies, and when there's food around, they become greedy and brutal. They're one of the few sharks that can live in fresh water, which opens a whole world of feeding opportunities. Whether you're a pelican in the Mississippi, or perhaps a saltwater croc in Australia, or maybe even a capybara on the banks of the Amazon, you might just end up in a bull shark's belly. Let's go find the goody two-shoes in the lawful good corner. And here is the blacktip reef shark. As their name suggests, these guys live in reefs. They're quite common at the Great Barrier Reef, for example. These sharks live in large groups, get along with each other, and are hugely important to their habitats. Blacktips are the protectors of these reefs, which are the only home to hundreds of species. To keep the reefs safe from destruction, they kill the habitat destroyers. Several fish species, such as the parrotfish, eat corals, but the blacktips are always there to control their populations. By devouring them, of course. They're the last line of defense against the main threat to their ecosystem. Other than humans, that is. Without blacktips and other reef sharks, corals collapse due to parrotfish overpopulation. Save sharks? Save coral reefs. Blacktip sharks are the paladins of the reef. Nothing can rattle these majestic mouth breathers. They are the true neutral shark, the chillest sharks in the ocean. Whale sharks. They have no reason not to be chill. They're the largest fish in the ocean. They can be up to 15 meters long and weigh up to 15 tons. Whoa. They can also live over 100 years. So they're not in any hurry to get anything done today. Their entire life consists of slowly swimming around warm oceans with their mouth open, catching plankton by the bucket load. That's right. Despite their size, most of their prey are no bigger than a grain of rice. To see this neutral evil shark, we have to dive into the heart of darkness to meet the most cartoonishly evil-looking animal in the world, the Goblin Shark. They're the definition of neutral evil. They're out there just looking out for themselves. They're not thinking about the other fish in the ocean. Ha! These sharks are solitary, deep-sea dwellers, with a weird jaw that does not conform to the rest of shark society. Their giant nose is packed with electroreceptors, which help them find prey at the bottom of the ocean. They'll eat anything they can find, from crabs to squid, as long as the risk doesn't outweigh the reward. Once a prey is nearby, their jaw shoots out and their nail-like teeth impale their prey. They call this slingshot feeding. They never saw it coming. It's time for chaotic good, and that is the basking shark. It's one of the largest fish in the ocean, with some individuals reaching 8 meters in length. It's also the heaviest at 15 tons, and with a mouth that's probably larger than you. Whoa. All that weight lets them live how they want to, with little fear of predators. And so, they spend their lives drifting in the ocean, eating plankton, and being one of the most chill sharks in the world. And though super chill doesn't mean they're shy. They also have a chaotic side. During the courtship season, they meet up in shoals of up to 100 sharks and swim in circles around each other. We still don't know exactly what that means, but we do know that chaotic group swims help them meet a nice partner. They are a little strange and chill, but they're probably the nicest sharks in the world. Moving into the neutral zone, we have the tiger shark, a feared predator with an important job it takes seriously. This is the lawful neutral shark. He might look like a rogue, but this shark keeps the balance of the ocean ecosystem. It's true lawful neutral. This is the tiger shark. Maybe one of the prettiest sharks in the world due to its patterned skin, the tiger shark is also one of the most voracious, and they'll eat anything, including man-made objects like car tires. This behavior has earned them the nickname of garbage eater. Their list of prey is also huge, but it includes some animals that would damage ecosystems if left unchecked. Sea turtles, for example, can decimate seagrass patches. Tiger sharks know that nobody is above maritime law, not even the cutest animals, and make sure their populations are under control. The tiger shark is the ocean's sheriff.
I am a lawman, a lone wolf of justice.
It's a thankless job, but somebody's gotta do it to preserve the oceans. Thanks, tiger sharks. Speaking of good guys, it's time for neutral good. The shark with the Disney princess eyes. The blue shark. These neutral good boys are relatives of the much more aggressive tiger and oceanic white-tip sharks. But they prefer the chill life, hanging with their pals. They're one of the only species known to hunt in groups, which is especially useful when you're hunting fast fish like tuna. But when it comes time to make cute dopey-eyed baby sharks, their true nature comes to light. Their mating behavior involves fighting each other, almost to the brink of death. Those who manage to mate usually carry the scars for the rest of their lives. And yet, if you're swimming and come across this good boy, don't be scared. He's just out for a stroll. Just please, pretty please, don't try to date them. It's time for Chaotic Neutral. Today, we're talking about the sand tiger shark, a needle-toothed giant found all over the world. Their life is what you would expect of a shark, hunting smaller prey and swimming around the bottom of the ocean. But what makes them chaotic neutral is their reproduction. Pregnant females have 2 separate uterine horns, with up to 50 babies swimming freely in them and feeding on yolk. But once the biggest baby gets big enough, it will begin cannibalizing all of the other babies until only one baby remains in each uterine horn. It's a ruthless way to start your life, but from the point of view of the mom, she's providing her babies with enough food to get big and start their life strong. They're also literally babies eating other babies, so it's hard to say they're good. They're the perfect chaotic neutral shark. Finally, we uncover the last shark on the chart. It's time for lawful evil. They're not the biggest, smartest, or fastest shark, but for millions of years, the great white has kept the seas under its iron fin. At a whopping 6 meters in length and 2 tons in weight, it can eat pretty much anything it wants to with no fear of predators, except for the occasional killer whale encounter. Great white sharks abide by their own rules, and generally only open water animals are fair game, while smaller prey are left alone. But their favorite prey are mammals. Luckily for us, compared to seals, we're too scrawny to be worth their while. These sharks have ruled the oceans by methodically outcompeting their rivals, and eating any animal that gets in their way. They're the judge, jury, and executioners of the ocean. The true lawful evil. So evil. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for new episodes every week. See ya!
I am the lawman, silent, swift, but deadly. I'm always at the ready with a rifle or a gun.
These are some of the largest superorganisms